computer. So even if you have a property that the seller said, the seller can say it wasn't in a floodplain, and it is now because they keep changing it every time, you know, floodplains change. So FEMA updates their documents, but also the old owner can say, well, I never needed flood insurance. Well, it could be because they didn't have a loan. That's one reason. But also it could be that they needed flood insurance, but at the time their insurance was really cheap because it was in that first level of floodplain. And now that it's been redesignated, it's a lot more
Can you hear
expensive.
me?
So never assume that if you got it on a property disclosure, it says, oh, on my insurance, I had these elderly folks that were like, oh yeah. First, they said they didn't need flood insurance because they had no loans. So of course they didn't need flood insurance. You don't need to have it. It's just whether you want money if your house was to flood. But then I had another property where it had changed. So the owner on the property disclosure said, oh yeah, it's like $600 a year. But then they got further along in the contract and we didn't think to check with State Farm, and it ended up, it was like $15,000 a year or something.
Oh my gosh.
So don't, property disclosure is just one source of information. You called the building department? You ended up calling them?
Yes, I called the building department, and it isn't a floodplain, but they didn't tell me which one. I think that would come from the insurance company when he calls.
Yeah, so you can get a good idea on GIS, and like Stacy knew, she said, I saw it is in a floodplain. It says so in GIS because there's a layer you can look up. Like you look up the property, you choose the layer, and it'll say like floodplains, FEMA floodplains, and you just click on all the boxes and see what color comes up on the map. But then you can double check by calling. I thought it was right, so I guess it was that it's called the building department you check with, and they said, yep, it's in the floodplain. So now calling like State Farm, Allstate, whatever it is. And I don't think there's that many companies that do the flood insurance. It's through the federal government, kind of like, you know, an FHA loan is backed by the federal government. FEMA's flood insurance, or State Farm's flood insurance, not FEMA, State Farm's flood insurance, if they had some, would be backed by the federal government to say, yeah, we will help you with this. So it's kind of complicated, but maybe that'll help a little bit. Just never assume that because someone told you something that it's probably true. Like I did. I made a mistake 15 years ago. But anyway, okay, I want to, Luis, can I hear you now?
Yes.
Hey,
yes.
How was your week?
Can you hear me? It was really good.
I'm going to go back to recording.
Heather, can I ask Luis a question?
Yep.
Luis, did you?
So, I kind of taught this class earlier in the year to my Rocket group. It was people who new people were in the group, but it's also meant for anyone who's been in the business but just is having a hard time getting listings. And it's all about time management and having the perfect ninja week. And it is perfect for you folks, except that none of you have taken ninja before. So some of the stuff Blair has taken ninja. You did go. Okay. So
hey, don't forget me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at my pictures. Put your video on. You went too. So some of you understand, and if you don't understand, just know there's a lot to learn about ninja. We're a ninja company. We want you guys to know what some of that language means. But can you take off your mutes and tell me what are some reasons that you think time management, being able to focus and like know what you're supposed to do at any time would help you be a better agent?
You'd get a lot more productive things done.
Absolutely.
I do a lot of socializing, which is not a secret.
Instead of, I hear what you're talking about. What about
like time management? If I block time to do certain things, I get it done instead of socializing with everybody or being distracted and wanting to do other things. Because I have a hard time focusing, but blocking time out and really paying attention to time management, I get a lot done.
What about some of you others?
Getting some
build momentum.
Consistency.
What else? And turning them into habits.
Habits.
Right.
What about you, Blair?
I was going to say you build momentum, you know, and you really start to crave being on your schedule.
Yep.
You know, like I used to plan every Sunday, but this was before COVID, and I feel like that really helped me. And then went by the wayside, but it's a really good way to gain momentum and do the things you're meant to be doing.
Awesome. What about you, Anna?
I think it like sets you up for later productivity too. So even now, just the basics, like you do things now and it feels like nothing, but then 3 months later or whatever, things can come up from it.
Absolutely. What about you, Josiah?
I think it helps a lot too with organization and just in general, because if your schedules and structure is organized, then it's going to help with just keeping everything else in your life organized, which is
absolutely not being like flustered and I don't know where I put that, and forgetting things goes with that too, because you weren't thinking, I needed to open that little piece of paper.
Yep.
How about burning out? We're all burning out. Like COVID, I know Blair, like talking to you, like some of this like utter burnout from trying to get things accomplished, spreading yourself too thin, thinking you can, I'm just going to do this one little thing, but I also have to do this, and it never, ever gets done. Losing touch with people means losing stability. In real estate, you're going to have a lot of ups and downs, having these peaks and valleys. It's exhausting. And having time that I have a lot of time and I don't know what to do, and then I have no time and I can't get anything done that I'm supposed to be doing. Not reaching your goals, not reaching personal goals. Let's say I'm not working out because I'm so burned out. I'm so tired at the end of my days, and I've got too much on my plate and I can't sleep. And so I better not work out, because then if I do, then I'm going to get sick. And then family stress, always if you're not focused, then not being able to have a real life afterward, and always being distracted. I'm just going to take this one phone call. So not being able to manage that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and mute you guys, but if you want to talk, you're welcome to. It's actually Anna, because you're in the office. It's not any of you talking. But anyway, all those things I just said, that completely sums up, like especially the not reaching your goals or not reaching personal goals, family stress, that sums up. I think it's been 3 years, maybe it's been 2 good years of meeting with every single agent that wasn't on their way out of the business at Christmas time-ish. And that was all the complaints I ever had about their businesses. What could have been better about your year? Every single one of those was in that couple of minutes we talked. So your goals with being able to manage your time better are increasing your pie time. So when you are at Ninja, you talk about P, I, and E time. P is you, a customer, a contract, you are making money. I is everything that leads to P time, showing property, setting up showings, talking to buyers about, like actively talking to a buyer about your showings that are going to lead to a contract, how it goes, you go about buying a house, getting them pre-qualified. And E, you're trying to manage everything else. So you have all these little to-dos and you're trying to get them into a small bucket and say, what's actually important today? Sometimes those things are important. Like, I actually have to get this done or this isn't going to happen. But to try to manage that and not say, I have to be a master of all things. I have time enough for everything, because it never happens. And then increasing your flow. So flow being you and being able to be in flow with your customers. That's a huge thing about Ninja is they know your name. They aren't like, Heather is calling. It's like, hey, Heather, how's it going? Like the flow, just being in contact with them as much as you need to be, like we were talking about the art of communication, and increasing your ability to meet your goals and have a life, because that's what it's all about. It's why you should be in real estate, to be able to have a real life as well as to be able to, help people and everything else you love about real estate. So the first time you do time management, the first time you really sit down and create a routine that works, it's not like, everything's falling into place. It's not like that. It's really awkward. And so you're trying to figure out, like, is this a real routine that's going to work for me or not? But for the most part, it works right away. It is awkward though. You're like, well, this is weird. It's 8 a.m. and I'm sitting at my desk and no one's around if you do it from here. Or it's 9 a.m. and I've finished that. So now I'm supposed to do this, but everything gets into a flow. It's like the first time, just like Blair was saying, or someone was saying about working out, like getting into those habits and those routines. It's always awkward the first time. And some days you have to allow it to all go to pieces, because you actually have a buyer from out of town and you have this routine, you do the same thing every day, or you try to be on the same schedule, but you have a buyer from out of town and you just gotta get it done. There's a contract situation. They call you and you're like, I actually have to do this right now and it's going to take my whole day. So let it go. But if you can focus most days on it, it's great. So who I am, and I'll tell you my life as an agent, I tell you this all the time. I was never a top agent. I was always someone that wanted to give back to my community a lot. And I spent a lot of time in these side things. I was elected to the LPEA board. I was president of DAR. I was always the one helping with stats with things. I gave to a lot of different organizations. And with that, that was my life. I loved that. And I was a realtor as well. And so you could always count on me to be between the 5 and 10 in the office, but I was never like someone that was the most successful agent in the world. But I want to tell you like what my routine was that gave me structure to be able to, whether it was pre-family or having a baby, to be able to manage all these different things and not totally burn out. So for me personally, I was an early riser. I am an early riser. That means getting out of bed at 5:15. That's just who I am. It's not like, oh, I do this just to be successful. It's just who I am. I get up early. I don't work late. I want to be in bed by like 9 o'clock latest. But for me, I knew that you get the best of me early. So I wanted to go right to my routine, to get into work by 8 a.m. because I knew by 4 o'clock I was burned out. And if I wanted to take a long lunch break and go biking or something like that, that was fine. But I needed to be done work unless I had a contract in front of me by, 5-ish, 6-ish, because I couldn't do it later in the day. So if I had to go to a reception later, I had to go to a DAR after hours, or, just going and having a beer with a group of people, that's fine. But the actual sitting down and trying to get a contract done was not easy for me. So set up whatever system it is that works for you. And it doesn't mean, oh, I'm not good at getting up early, so I'm going to come rolling into work at 10 o'clock. That doesn't work for anyone. Like, believe me, you have to get on a normal work schedule, because if you wait till then, what happens is the rest of the world is doing this. So having a little chunk of time before the rest of the world is going crazy will give you that peace of mind, because otherwise, like, I know it's crazy. My early mornings, even as a manager, it's so peaceful. And then all of a sudden, 9:30, 10 o'clock, by 10 o'clock, the phone is ringing off the hook and everybody's got a contract issue and nothing else is going to get done until you can block a later time in the day. So just because you're not an early riser doesn't mean you shouldn't be working earlier in the day. So get something that works for you when you get busier, so you can handle the routine you're keeping. So that is the key to starting out in real estate, is you are going to be so busy. So whatever structure you're creating now, there's a book I'm reading now. It's not a good book, but so I would never tell you guys to read it. It's called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. It's a Keller Williams, like how everybody has their structure to how they do things. But this book I'm reading now happens to talk about if you're growing your business, so you're going from one person to 2 people, it's talking about being the CEO of your own company, right? So it's kind of really old school. But one thing I really love about it is it's saying whatever you're putting into place now, know that you can increase it exponentially and it's still going to work for you with tweaks. Obviously, you have 3 people working for you. It's going to be different than 1 person working for you. But like, I'm creating a structure that I can now drop 15 buyers in at one time and it's still going to work, not for just that 1 person. So having your organization in that way is really going to help you out. So if you don't, another thing about me, it's probably the same with most people. I would say probably 90% of people are the same way. If you don't do that one thing you need to get done first thing in the morning, it's never going to happen. So whatever it is you're putting off, ninja-wise, this isn't like, oh, I have to, like an errand. I'm talking about, I was very shy. I got into real estate. I was like, I am going to kill it. I am going to do this. And I'm not afraid to do things, but there was still that hurdle of, I have to call people, like, that's so hard, but just pick up the phone. So I got good. People would be in their cubes. They're like, you call people every day. I set a period of time. I would get to the office, and before I did anything else, I wanted to do, I meant to email it to myself. I guess I never did. If you don't have a ninja sheet that I say hand in your ninja sheets weekly, the ninja sheet has 50 lines for 50 people that you're supposed to have live conversations with. This can be over the phone, but it's not an email. It's like over the phone or in-person kind of meetings with people. And if you want to reach that 50 people a week, you have to take it on. You can't just be like, I'm just going to call 50 people on Friday. So I went down I felt like if somebody was going to be in my sphere, for me, this is not even getting into what you need to do every day, but just like the things I had to get done. I wanted to get through my whole sphere every 6 months, call all of them within every 6 months. It usually took like a month to get through this huge list, right? But it was 5 people a day. I had to talk to 5 people a day. So I would get to the office and make those 5 calls. And sometimes you're not even reaching somebody. Sometimes it was like a 2-minute call. And once in a while, it was a longer call. But it would be the same thing would come out of my mouth. Hey, Charlie, I have not talked to you in forever. And somebody made me think of you this morning. I just wanted to give you a quick call and see how your family's doing. Whatever it was, it's all this forward calls like family, occupation, recreation, dreams, just asking them a question about their lives. But I would make those calls first thing because I would never make the calls if I waited a couple of hours. So for me, tackling that first thing in the morning. So whatever your hardest part of your schedule is, try to get it done right away before you get distracted and then never get back to it. Personally, that was mine. So planning for your week happens before you leave the office on Friday afternoon. It takes about 30 minutes. And you can do it on Monday mornings, but it's only if you get to the office early. Office meaning it could be at home now. But trying to get that block of time where you can plan out your week, because again, if you get to the office and things are going crazy, you're just never going to have that just headspace to concentrate on what I need to get done. So for me, let me see, the first thing on my schedule, first thing on your schedule in the week. So what I would do, and this is going to jump around because you guys are new and I don't want to overwhelm you with some of the things. But when I do a Google Calendar. Let me go to the next week. I didn't get it all set up for you. But what I do is I have my meetings that are standing meetings. They're always in here. And then I also have the things I have to do every day, which are like all these like little things that if they don't get done, I can just drag it over and get it done the next day. But when I would plan my week, let's just say it's Friday afternoon before you get out of work, I would take my calendar and put in when I was going to work out. And I know that sounds crazy for the very first thing you do, but you have to take care of your body. You have to get exercise. You have to take time to be outside. It is gorgeous out. I know it's hot, but it is gorgeous out. It is the middle of summer. You need to at least take a walk. Go on the Animas River Trail, go on a bike ride, do push-ups at home. I don't care what it is, but figure out every day where you're going to spend that, even if it's 15, 20 minutes, just spend some time by yourself working on physical being, because that will help your mental well-being. So that was the very first thing you would plan on. Where are you going to, and it could be with people. I did that all the time. I would take half an hour and I'm going to go walk on the river trail. I brought a pair of shorts and a t-shirt to work and my sneakers back of the car. And then I'd take that one customer that just always talks forever and I'd call her as soon as I hit the trail. And I just walk for half an hour talking to her and then I had to leave. And so it would be the end of the conversation. Or if COVID related, but if you had a lunch that you wanted to catch up with somebody, you could always just walk. You don't unnecessarily always have to be sitting somewhere with people. So your Monday morning meeting. So that is, where'd mine go? I actually deleted mine this week. Anyway, every Monday morning I would have a 1 hour and I would call it my Monday meeting. And it would be when I first get to work. And so this is what it looks like. I'm going to pick it out and show you. Hold on. Documents. I could have been a little more organized. My computer's being slow. So Monday morning meeting, this is straight from Ninja. And I'm taking the one that I used to use when I was an agent. I still do a very similar thing by myself. But there's a checklist of things to get down. And this is, I'm talking about planning on Friday night. But when I get into the office on Monday, I have a routine of like setting up my work week and thinking about the week before. And you can do this on Friday night. I know an awful lot of agents that do it on a Sunday evening before they go to bed, because it helps them settle. Like all those things you're talking about, settling and trying to let go. It's putting it on a piece of paper before you check out for the night. I didn't like doing that because I would rather do it on a Friday or a Monday morning, because I do not want to be thinking about work on a Sunday evening. So here's an example of one Monday morning agenda. You actually write in here your week, And you start out by reading Mastery. And okay, so for Mastery, for me, it could be when you go to Ninja, you get a whole lot of really cool, positive things. It could be maybe a podcast you want to listen to that's about business building. I have a ton of business books. I've given most of them away, so I don't have that many anymore. But the 1 Minute Millionaire, the One Thing, Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Good to Great. For me, it was about leadership stuff. But I like to spend 5 or 10 minutes, more like 10 minutes, just reading something. And again, it's kind of part of your Monday morning routine or your Sunday afternoon routine. I'm just going to pretend it's Monday morning because the idea of doing this on a Sunday sounds terrible to me. But reading something that peps you up, reading something that makes you excited to be a better person, be a better agent, that sort of thing. Okay, so that's what reading Mastery is. It's something about being a better ninja. So then reviewing your business plan. This is another thing. This is once a week. I'm not talking about like a daily routine. Let me see if I can get this in front of me. Documents. Okay, here. Ninja Business Tracker blank. This is what this looks like if you haven't gone to Ninja. And if you have, it's all going to be set up. And I didn't do a fake one for you, but you put your whole hot list. These are all the people that are ready to purchase now or listings you actively have. You have your warm list, all the people that have said they want to buy or sell, next year or so, 6 months or so. And then your purpose is to say every Monday you're going, oh, that's so cool. I got this person under contract. So you move them over to here, not under contract, but they're now ready to buy. They called me and they said they want to go on a showing this week. So I'm going to move them over here. And then it tracks how much income you will probably make from them. And then you got this hot buyer under contract, so you move them over here. And then when you close them, they move over here. This automatically, you set it to automatically calculate how much money you're going to make with your goal for the year. So let's say this year you wanted to make $200,000. This automatically tells you how much you've closed, how much you have under contract. And if you were to close everybody on your hot list, how much of your goal you have. It's a cool, very simple checklist once you get it all filled out to just say, wow, if those buyers that are all on my A list that said they were going to buy with me someday bought, look how much of my goal I would exceed. And then of the hot people, the ones that are ready to go, like I'm already at 40% of my goal. So it's a good gut check to say, you think you're really busy, but when you look at this as an active agent, you go, oh my God, I've only hit 30% of my goal. I got to beef this up. Where am I at? So that's also part of it. So actually, no, let me go back there. I'm going to share the rest of that. So reviewing it just means looking at it like, okay, this is where I'm at for the year. So maybe it's only 5 minutes. You're just kind of looking at it, or I'm going to move that. Oh, I met that new buyer. He should go on my warm list. So then going back to this, then you have yearly goals. For me, I created one for you guys. It's blank. And I took this goals for you. Let's see what I got here. Stole this right from Tierney Scahill because she loved doing all this color coding and everything. And I loved how she did this. But it was evaluating your last year. You do this at the end of the year. If you were to do one of these things every now and then and get it by the end of the year, you'd be in a good place. But evaluating your year. So every week I look at my goals and I said, I kind of read it real quick. It only takes 5 minutes. You reread what you thought about your year. You reread what your goals are this year. You reread how you got those customers, what your mission statement is, what your business. It's just setting the week up for success. So my business plan is that I promised I was going to focus on X. I'm feeling kind of terrible because I haven't even thought about that in 3 weeks. So it's just a check, because the worst thing you could do is make all these plans and have all these ideas for what you want to accomplish and then never get back to it. Or maybe like look at it twice a year. They talk about the people that go to Ninja. You get this book. I love my Ninja book. I have it and I used it all the time, but to shelve it, and people would come by your cube and your Ninja book's up on a shelf, like it's not doing any good there. These are all living documents, and that's super important to do. So that's your goals for the month, and that's what that means when you're going through your Monday morning agenda, to just review your yearly goals. Now I didn't bring a monthly goal. I have an old one. I'm sure there's better ones now. This was from 20 years ago. It was a sheet that, I'll stop sharing. It was a sheet that said, like, if I want to reach my goals, then in January I want 2 sales. In February I want 1 sale. In March, so it like would tell you where you're at, and you could check a box every month and say, because I'm a number person. I love those things. I love goals. I like writing things on walls and seeing what my contracts are. I'm a super visual person. So for me, being able to look at that once a week and say, okay, this is what I wanted to get done for the whole year. I'm not feeling very good about it, but maybe I should concentrate more on this. And then you look at your monthly goals and say, oh my God, it's July. I wanted to have 2 listings a month starting out in May. I knew the beginning of the year was going to be slow, but I wanted to have 2 listings a month, and I only have 3. So what does that do to your mindset? It totally puts it in the right place where you go, I'm going to find a listing. I need 2 more listings by the end of this month, instead of just loosey-goosey, well, I hope I meet a seller today. It drives you to find those people. And I will tell you, it is crazy how it works. You just turn it on and you focus, and then you start getting excited about it. So then, what's next on here? Review your notes from your last Monday morning meeting. That's a killer. So then you read this same thing you're looking at now that you filled out last week and said, so what did I tell you? What did I say I was going to do? Mine is always sitting with I have my Ninja spreadsheet with all my names, and I fill it out with everybody I'm talking to. And on the back of it, I used to print out my last, my goals for the week so that I could kind of look at it, but because I'm a visual person. And so I wanted to read my goals from last week to say, how did I do on them this week? This whole meeting with yourself, it's half an hour. Like, it's not a lot of time. It's just you sitting down, looking at your goals and saying, where am I? And some weeks you spend more time. You're in a good chapter in your book. Like, it includes the reading. You're in a good chapter of the book, so you just keep reading, and then you spend a little less time on the other things. So you review your notes, and then you set your weekly goals. So did I run my business like a business? Yes. Why? And here's why. Like, I had set, this was the day I had my last baby. I started filling this out, and it wasn't a very big day. I ended up having I didn't spend the whole day in the office, but this was me when I was like, I had a good day. And then how was it not handled like a business? Last week, how did I run my business like a business? I really could have done better at this. How can I improve this week? This is all my ahas for the week. One of the things that they always said in Ninja is TSW. This stuff works. So just trying to realize, like, what was that aha you had in the last week? How were my lunches last week? These would be with customers. And, I just created this one for you guys. But it would be, you have 3 names here, because on your Ninja sheet, you really want to have 3 lunches with people. These don't have to be real lunches with COVID. It could be like, I just want to meet you. Can we talk on Google Meets, or can we do a quick Zoom meeting so that I can talk to you about maybe your goals in real estate? Or maybe it's with a lender. You're new. So maybe this is with a lender you haven't talked to yet. Someone that you want on your side that you can ask questions of, like, hey, can I bug you for 10 minutes? I just wanted to hop on a Google Hangouts with you and introduce myself. I'm new at Coldwell Banker, and I got a few questions about getting into real estate and how I might, different kinds of loans, whatever it is. Think of something you can call some business people and ask them if you could have a 10-minute meeting. But that's what a lunch is about. It's about making a connection with somebody on a longer basis than just a quick phone call. Who is scheduled for breakfast, lunch, coffee this week? Same deal. It doesn't have to be, it could be a virtual. I'm going out. For me, it's recruiting agents. That's what I do now. So what it would be is, hey, I'll buy you lunch. Let's go to a park. You bring a blanket, I'll bring a blanket. Let's just hang out, and we'll have a fun time. So you can think of ways to do it that's not uncomfortable for people, that you're still getting to know them. It could be, you want to get to know that buyer a little bit better. Hey, we've been driving around, but do you want to catch lunch sometime? Or, somebody, again, that's in business that you want to get to know better. It could be just you go on a walk. I was going to walk on the river trail at lunch, get some exercise. You want to join me? So you can think outside of the box for that. Do dog walking together or anything. Did you make your 54 contacts last week? Awesome question. How many new contracts did I add to my contacts did I add to my database last week? Another great question. Did you write at least 10 personal notes last week? Those are so golden right now because of just the stress of COVID. Somebody getting a handwritten note means a lot to them. New potential buyers, new potential sellers. How many offers? The coolest thing about being a new agent is when you can get to a point that how many offers did I write last week, and being able to say one new offer, one new contract, one new closing, and one new listing. Like, to be able to fill this out and have something to say. You put the big goose egg there, 0, 0, 0, but it will change. Just keep working on this and it will change. Did I call every person under contract last week? Oh my God, that was like an obvious yes for me. Like, you would never go a whole week and not call someone under contract. But buyers and sellers not under contract that need to be called this week. That comes from, you will have your A list, your B list, whatever it is with your people, or you have your hot list from Ninja that I just showed you. And you say, oh, just looking at your Ninja score, your sheet, that Excel file that I had, if you're looking at this and you look at all those names, like hot list is a pretty obvious one. Those are people you're talking to every day, probably, maybe not every day, but very close to it because they're your listings, they're your buyers that you're showing property to. But if you look at your warm list, just seeing the name makes you go, oh, I haven't talked to that person in like 4 months. I should call them today. So you do that, and then you can add it here. These are the people that I need to call this week. You print it out, you put it on your Ninja sheet for the week, this whole thing, once you do it, you put it on there, and you better believe you will get to those phone calls more than if you just go, oh, I should call them sometime. So that's about being focused. So this is, I want you to fill this out as if you're handing it into me. And I would love for you to hand it into me if you want that extra. I have 3 of the top agents that come in every week. We have a meeting that we focus on what their goals were for the week before. I give them a couple tips. It's not saying you need to make 3 more calls. It's whatever they want to work on, I can work on with them or help them manage their time a little better, saying, you know, you're doing so much of this. Why not think about if there's one thing you can do this week, it's this. So it's not like me berating them and telling them what they need to do better. It's just help to keep them motivated. So don't feel like, oh, I'm a new agent. You know, everybody does this. It's not just like new agents are asking me for this. It's even established agents. It's important to certain people. So do this and fill it out as if you're handing it into me, even if you aren't. But I would love you to hand in your Ninja sheets. So after I do this thing, which takes about half an hour, then I go into my actual planning. So when I'm planning out my week, this is my week. I just go to my my calendar. I just start putting things on here, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what my individual days look like before I get into what I put on my calendar. So for me as an agent, I was hopping out of bed, like just get up, be grateful when you wake up, think of something positive, think of something you're excited for in the day, and think of a few things, a few affirmations, something like, I am going to just kill it today. If you're doing affirmations from Ninja, that's the time to do it. Just writing out, one thing they teach you in Ninja is to write the same thing 30 times on a piece of paper every morning for 30 days. So it's with your goal for the year. So I did that religiously the first month of the year, wrote it like my 30 times and trying to reach my goal for the year. So whatever your affirmation is, whatever it is that you decide you want to do, you go ahead and do it right away. For me, when I knew I had no time to exercise because I was so busy that day, I was going to be just slammed. I was going to be showing. I would just roll out of bed and do my sit-ups or do my push-ups or do whatever it is to get your body and ready to go. So some people in the summer, they want to go out on a quick run. Other people, there is no way that they can do that with whatever situation you're in. So just take care of your body, because if you wake up and you have that physical just motivation, it's so much better than just like, oh, I don't want to get out of bed. I need my coffee. Like, get yourself pumped up, even if it's music. Reading mastery, if that's what it takes. Some people, it's just reading something really positive. Could be a podcast. There's so many good business podcasts. There's so many good things that'll make you happy. It could be really good songs that you want to wake up to or something you want to listen to on the way to work. So when you get to work, as a new agent, it would be great if you wrote your notes right away. So I need to do 2 notes today. I'm going to write some personal notes. I have some cards I want to do. You already know who you wanted to write to because you kind of do that planning. Like, who am I going to write notes to tomorrow? You don't want to get to the office and go, I'm supposed to write 2 notes. I don't know where to start. So that's something you would want to think about before you get there. And I had some ideas. If you want to be consistent about it, you could either take really good records of, I know that person has a birthday, their kid has a birthday today, or this person had this going on. But Facebook stalking is really good for that. I've sent cards to people's kids who have graduated from high school, or their kid just had a A on their report card, whatever it was, like sending a card to someone that I noticed something really cool happened on Facebook and it made me think of them. So I sent them a card. So if you want to be consistent, that's one idea. I also tracked anniversaries. So I had this calendar up and I would say, oh, it's so-and-so's anniversary today of them purchasing a house. And I have cards specifically for those purchases. So by the time you're in business, again, you're setting up for success for years from now. I would close on a property and then I would put them in a year later that send them an anniversary card a few days in advance. And then by then I would have like maybe 4 or 5 of my cards after a few years would be for anniversaries from years before. You can send them anniversary cards, forever after they have a closing. So that keeps adding up. Every closing you have, it's another card you get to do every year. So, and if you have to check email, you do the email checking after you do these things. So don't go right to your desk and check your email and say, what happened last night? Because then you're going to be distracted the entire day. Get your goals done. If it's like, I want to do my goals worksheet. Heather showed me that really cool ninja worksheet. I want to sit down and kind of put a couple things into it or think about it. Do that first. Don't look at your email at all. Don't even do it at all. If you're an established agent, it is okay. Like I would check it not the instant I wake in. Take your shower, kind of get your coffee going, and then I check in. Okay, have there been any emergencies last night? No, I can wait, okay? If you feel like you have to do it before you get to work, because once you get to work and you open up that email, your day is gonna go that way. So at least get what you wanted to get accomplished half an hour done before then. It's super important for you to get in a routine. I didn't really do it correctly, but if I'm going to make phone calls, I did want to see everything that was new on the market. You definitely need to check the hot sheet every day. That is the way you're going to know the market. You can also check Brennan's Bulletin if you want to have an idea of what sold off of Paragon. But I would look for every single change, at least if you're starting with La Plata County and you don't have any buyers right now that you're looking for, at least check everything that happened in La Plata County in the last 24 hours. I'm not doing this on weekends, just weekdays. And then I would check for new listings, sold listings, under contract listings, price reductions, like check all those boxes. Because I wanted to see, oh, that one, why did that one just reduce? I thought that was a good price. They just reduced it $5,000. I don't have a customer for it, but I want to know the market. I want to know so that if somebody asks me, what are you seeing? I'll say, I've noticed there've been a lot of price reductions this week, more than I usually see. The only way you'll know that is if you're constantly immersed in what's going on in the market. And then you're also going to know the sales. You're going to know which agents have more of the sales. You don't have to run a stats thing like I would. You just have to look and say, you go to the DAR event and you say, wow, so-and-so, or an office meeting, and you say, your name is coming up all the time on sales recently. You must be having a phenomenal year. Oh, really? So it's a way of making a connection with people, knowing who the people are who are making a lot of these sales and kind of who you're up against too. So that's super important. I guess I would say that it was okay for me to be doing that right away because before I made my phone calls, I did want to see everything new on the market. So flow is super important in Ninja. I know I've said that 100 times, super important. Flow is your phone calls that you want to make to people, your notes, your email campaigns, setting up. I just wrote the stats letter for our office, so I'm going to be doing the newsletter in the next couple of days. So even if it's just the emailed newsletter, I do want you guys to do certain campaigns. Let's say you only have 5 people you're sending it to, that's fine. But just getting that done in the morning and trying to set things up. It's also reviewing your ABC lists. These are, I know there's a lot of ninja stuff. There's hot and warm. Hot is not under contract. Hot is like active buyers and sellers that are going to buy right now or sell. And warm is like, I really want to buy, but I gotta do this other thing first and I'll be back in 3 months, not 2 years from now. They're the people that are warm. They're circling. Okay. And now you have A, B, and C. A, B, and C are the people that know you, love you, and trust you and would do anything to give you business. You don't have a lot of these people in your life. Even as a top agent, that list should be no more than 20, 25. It's the people that would just do anything for you and you need to do everything for them. So you have an A list. B list in Ninja are the people that they like you, they have good flow with you, or you should have good flow with them. They would give you a referral if somebody came up and asked them to. They would say, hey, I'm thinking of selling my house. Do you know an agent? And think about like contractors when you get those forum requests. And it's like, do you have a good plumber? And you say, oh yeah, I used that person before. So it's the people that would say, oh yeah, I used Heather before. Yeah, she's good. Yeah, give her a call. But they wouldn't do anything to say, are you selling your house? You better use Heather. I am not going to talk to you anymore unless you use Heather. You see the difference? So B's are like, they still want to support you. C's will never, ever give you a referral, but they're still good people to know. They still would work with you, but they're not going to like refer people to you. So they're still important to keep in flow with, not as often, but they're further down that list. So when you start dropping people into these things, you're like, I have all these people in my database. You probably don't yet, but let's say you have 20 or 30 people, you know, put them in those categories. So you're categorizing the same person. They might be on a hot list because they're working with you right now. And they're your A list too, because they will do anything for you and you would do for them. So they're like hot list and A. So just think about it that way and start. You can ask me questions if later you're like, I'm struggling. How does all this work? But people who have gone to Ninja get it. So when you're doing your flow first thing in the morning, I would actually block out a couple of half hours a week to do flow or more than that if you need it to get to your 50 a week like we talked about. And you're just looking at your list. Just like I was saying with that Ninja list with your hot and warm, you're just looking. So if you're saying, oh my God, how am I going to fill this sheet up to 50? Take your ABC list and just look at them and go, oh, there's a person I haven't talked to in a while. I'm going to call them. There's something visual about looking at people's names that makes things come to mind. And it could be that, God, I really want to talk to that person, but I can't think of a way to connect with them. You happen to be driving home and you see a dog that looks like their dog, or you see something and it reminds you of a story of them. And it gives you that connection. So it's called top of mind, and that's why you stare at these lists, and it's called flow. So you look at the list quickly and you go, oh, I'll call those 5 people. Those are my people today. I'm going to give them a call. So that's part of your flow. Reviewing your hot list, your warm list, getting to your 50. That's flow. So in Ninja, they would talk about scheduling hours for you to make these calls. As a new agent, probably not getting up to 2 full hours of making calls, but at least put it in your schedule. So when I was talking about like having a schedule, and I would actually put like flow. It's going to start at 9 a.m. because I'm going to work out before that, and I am going to sit down and get that done. So I'd say flow here, and then shortly after, I'd have Ninja. For me, this was my Ninja time, would be right after flow. And it would say, and that was my time to pick up my Ninja folder and say, what are those goals I had that I really wanted to work with? I wanted to get, Heather was showing me this like cool Ninja sheet, and I think that would be fun to do. So going back to your Ninja book, if you have one, or going back to something you wanted to structure, and I would do that earlier in the mornings to know I was going to get it done before my day went to pieces, right? So a buyer, for me, once I got super busy, by the time I made it to PERG, I was an active agent anyway, and then you layer another management on top of it and all of the development listings. I got to a point where I'm managing about 45 to 50 listings at a time, okay? Now, most of those were the same groups of people. They had multiple things for sale, but there's still, and then other layers were, I had 6 listings that were quarter shares, half shares, things up at PERG, right? But they're all individual people, but they were selling the same sort of thing. So I had to organize my structure to say, I can't drop the ball on anybody, but how can I do something on a really big scale that works as a new agent, but it works as a bigger scale too. So for me personally, I've always done contracts where I have my deadlines on Tuesdays. Tuesdays are a great day to have for me, all my deadlines, because it's earlier in the week. It's not a Friday night. You never want to have like inspection deadline on Friday night. But it gave me structure to know it's Tuesday. I must have some deadlines. Let me work on this. So for me, with all these listings, what I came up with is every Monday is Buyer Monday and Tuesdays are listings. That's the day that I had to reach out to all of my buyers or all of my sellers, and I would just sit down and make it happen, because otherwise I couldn't remember who am I trying to keep in touch with. So Monday, I'm like going through all of my list of the people, you know, we were talking about communication. Who do I have to reach out to? Oh, there's all these MLS numbers that have changed. I'm going to reach out to them once a week and I'm going to give them the new MLS numbers. Do you want to go see something? Do you want to do this? But it's short. It's at most 15 minutes per person that you're working on to come up with an email. And for sellers, you can have one person that you have to do a whole MLS search and come up with a CMA for them. Oh, we haven't talked in a while. Here's this new CMA I did for your property. It looks like you're priced about right, or here's a monthly review. Well, if you do that for one person and you have a quarter share at Kendall, let's say that's what I had 6 of or 5 of or something, I could also do that same email to every single one of those sellers and just change their name and change a little bit about what I put in the paragraph, but you can do it on a larger scale. So just know the more time you put into real estate to try to perfect what you're doing, you're going to be able to build it on a bigger scale. So that really helps. Okay, so for me personally, Buyer Monday, Seller Tuesday, but we already talked about that. Keep in mind, don't overload your schedule. So here's another trick. And I could have made you a whole schedule, but I didn't. Let's say I have Flow, I have Ninja. I wanted to reach out to Stevens. I know it takes about 15 minutes per, 15 minutes per buyer or seller Tuesday that I wanted to keep up with. So I'm going to do this. And I had them all in my schedule. I'd be like, oh yeah, I need to connect with my brother selling a house. And then Stevens, I have to connect with him. And so I had all these things figured out, but don't go crazy. You need some time. So every hour you need that 10 minutes to say, something's not going to go right. Like I need breaks. Don't be like, oh, my entire 8 hours is going to be these little time blocks. You have to give yourself space within that to go, nothing's going to go right. You're going to get a phone call that is going to throw your day off a little bit, but try to do that. Don't overload yourself. And if you do this, the way you schedule all this is to work on your business in the morning. So that's Flow, that's Ninja. Let me think of some other things. These are scheduling, sending your notes, looking at Paragon, scheduling time for your calls, and doing real estate reviews. So on real estate reviews, these are, I think there's a place on this. Nope, it wasn't. But it was underneath this on the Real Ninja one. There was a place that said, who did you do a real estate review with that week? And real estate reviews are a tool I'll teach you about sometime that are the perfect way to get listings. It's to say, hey, I'm in real estate now, and I know you own a home, and I know you might not be interested in selling, but it's a service I give to people is to tell you how much your house is worth. I know Stacy's done these. I want to tell you how much your house is worth. Do you have time for a quick cup of coffee sometime, or even a Zoom meeting? You do this thing for them. You tell them you already did it, and then you schedule the meeting so that they have no time to say, oh, you don't have to do that for me. Say, oh, no, I already did it. Do you have 15 minutes? I could just go over what's going on in the market. So scheduling time in your day to do a couple of scheduling time in your week to do a couple of those is helpful too. So remember, on your business in the AM, that would be all your planning, all the things you wanted to have accomplished. And then in your business in the afternoon, and what that's for is I got to call the well driller. I got to figure out if this place is in a floodplain. I got to go over to the building department and talk to so-and-so. I got to go show property. So try to get those few things you have to get done first, the goals, or else they're not going to get done later in the day. There's a couple phrases from Ninja. You don't have to do everything. You just have to do something. So if you can implement one of these things this week and then try to implement some more down the road, that's great. And then this is another one I love. Focus on activities and the production takes care of itself. If you can do the things that need to be done, you don't have to worry about whether I know enough people that this is all going to work. Am I actually going to make money in real estate? You focus on talking to people and connecting with them and giving them things that they need or they want or that you're helping them with. And you don't have to worry about selling them stuff, because it will happen that they'll start saying, by the way, my friend is selling real estate, or he needs to sell his house and I'm having a lunch with him today. I'm going to tell him to give you a call. Your phone rings later in that day. So there will be a peace of mind that you gain in real estate at some point. If you keep being busy and you keep busy with the right things, not just busy. Busy doesn't mean I'm going to spend sorry, Stacy, I keep using you as an example because you have this flood thing to figure out. But it doesn't mean I'm going to spend most of my morning perfecting my return address labels, and I'm not going to go and talk to people, or I'm going to try to figure out all this floodplain stuff for this one person, and you're just doing this one thing and you're not out doing the ninja stuff. But if you do the ninja stuff, then you will get to a point in your career where you can stop worrying about what your next sale is going to be, because you will know it will happen. The nights I worried the most before going to bed, let's say like when I wasn't new in real estate, but let's say it had been 4 years or so, and then the market crashed. But the nights that I worried the most about, oh my God, I am by myself and I have a house payment and I don't know how I'm going to do this 2 months from now. I got this month covered, but what am I going to do then? And you just like, oh, I don't know. This is so hard. The next morning, you have been in business long enough and you have worked up enough flow with people and you're doing a good job with keeping in touch with people. The phone would just ring. It just would ring and they'd say, you know, I'm going to sell my house and so told me to call you. And it was someone you didn't know about the day before. But believe me, you will have a point in your career that you don't need to worry anymore. And that is like the most priceless thing you can get, is just to have that calm in your heart, because it's not a job where you're just paid hourly. So for me, that was my goal. And that was when Ninja really hit me that it was working so well. So I hope that's helpful to you. Anybody have questions? That's pretty much what I had. Let's see here on Ninja, if there was anything in here that I could mention. Building your mailing list being whatever you want to call it, to have 200 people in it. What they would say is for every person that is in your database and you're in flow with, that you will get $1,000 in commission from a year. So if you have 200 people, if you can get 200 people in there, that you will make your $200,000 a year if you are really in connection with them, not just people that you met on the floor and they're never gonna talk to you again because they're never gonna buy in Durango. But that's pretty much what you want to think of. Just keep building that up and keep in flow with people. Stacy, you were talking. Were you?
No, I was just gonna say I'm glad you did this about Ninja, because it motivates me to get back into it. With Mark's surgery and coronavirus, I've really let things go.
Yeah, well, it's never too late to start again, right?
Right, so I am gonna start again.
That's awesome. And I know it's hard with people are really creating their own home office. I really was against home offices, but now I understand with COVID, it is what it is. But I do want to encourage you guys to structure your days as new agents to have some time where you're working in the office. It's just, there's nothing like it. There's just so much business to be had. And I want you to hear what other people are saying and to meet people and to just get in that role. You guys are all in business for yourselves. You're all self-employed people, and you can make your career whatever you want. But the more you focus on it and are very business about it, the more it'll get there quicker, let's say.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all I got. Anybody have any last things? I was thinking about next week. Let me